Who's it gonna be? This is Lamar! Oh my God! My brain's gonna explode. My brain's gonna explode. There's something sinister afoot, absolutely.
Hello, everybody, and welcome into the Slightly Biased Show here at the incredible Haymaker studio. Make sure you guys like the stream. Make sure you guys subscribe if you're not subscribed for whatever reason. If you guys are not subscribed to the Haymaker Network, link is down in the description. Please go and do so. There's plenty of things to watch already. We've got a Dirk interview over there. Hey, I'll be interviewing Dirk before too long. Nick Van Exel. You got the One Star Podcast over there as well. It's on all podcast platforms. Spotify, Apple Podcasts. You can find me there, The Slightly Biased Show. Go leave a 5-star review even if you don't listen over there. I don't give a fuck. Just leave a 5-star review. Okay? And yeah, make sure you subscribe. Join the Metroplex Sports Party. We'll have to work on that with the slogan. I'm not sure about it, to be honest with you. But anyways, we got a busy show today. Joel Moran from the Pick a Side podcast. You guys know him. He's joining us, the Joel Moran podcast as well. He's joining us. We've got some Anthony Davis news. I am going to talk some MNFL. We're going retro, man. We're putting the shades back on today. We're feeling delusional today. No, I'm just joking. And we're also going to talk NBA contenders or pretenders. I always love doing this because I love breaking hearts. And there's one team I can't wait to shit on. You guys know who it is. So let's bring in Joel. And let's talk about, this is a live stream, by the way. You guys always ask in the chat. We are live right now. If you donate, if you donate, obviously thanks for your donations. We'll get to them at the end. But Joel, what's up, brother? It's good to see you, man.
It's good to see you too. I'm loving this setup, man. It looks awesome.
Yeah, man.
And I can't wait to talk about the playoffs and about contenders and pretenders.
Yeah, man. We got some good deals on some equipment, $2 billion, but it really, at the end of the day, man, what's money, you know?
Yeah, you're right.
So I got to ask the first and foremost, I am so fascinated. If you guys don't know, Joel Moran, Pick a Side podcast, I'm so infatuated with you guys because each of you root for like 15 different fucking teams.
Yeah.
So, you're a Jets fan first and foremost, correct?
I was first. So the reason why I switched from the Jets was because it just didn't seem like there was any way that they were going to get better. Every single avenue that they've approached of trying to get better has just failed. With drafting quarterbacks, they've drafted plenty of them, and most of them have went on to have successful careers elsewhere, but not with the Jets. Coaches have went on to have successful careers post the Jets, and then I just thought it was the final straw. And the Packers were the most obvious emotional gravitation for me because Jordan Love sat for 3 years behind Aaron Rodgers, but every step of the way, I thought that he would be a star coming out of college, and he was talked down on, and people doubted that he could even play at this level. And I kept believing in him, and then he broke out into a star quarterback that he is, and it was just an obvious attachment. It's like when you root for your favorite player in the NBA, like mine would be like Anthony Edwards, and they break out and they do amazing things. Oh, no, not Anthony Davis. And they just break out. It's no different than, we have a lot of Mavericks fans here, I'm assuming. No different than, me being a Knicks fan, and I was a big Luka Doncic fan. When Luka Doncic played really well, I was a big Luka advocate. But the Jets, I don't think their ownership cares about its fans. I don't think they try to make the team better. I don't agree with a lot of the political, personal ideologies either from the ownership group. So it just felt rational for me to take my emotional investment elsewhere because I feel like a big part of supporting a team is supporting its values. And I don't support their values. So I decided to support another team's values that connected with me more. And that's why I chose the Packers.
And it paid dividends this weekend, huh?
No, it was awful. I was not expecting it. It was completely awful. But a friend of mine told me that I got the full Packers experience this week because they've been through a lot of playoff heartbreaks over the last 16 years. And I just thought, listen, man, I got to go through heartbreaks. And this was my first real heartbreak in the playoffs because they choked like this to the Bears in a regular season too. And that was a heartbreaking loss. But to do it in the playoffs, it was just the most unbelievable, bizarre thing ever. I could not believe it. and it has me in a funk still. Like right now, I'm still pretty much in a funk because they lost.
So I want to circle back to the NFL playoffs in a bit. And I got to be honest with you, I had a big smile on my face all weekend. Great hate watches. The Packers lose. The Eagles lose. Like I was having a great time. But I do want to talk because just before you came on, I guess Mike Tomlin just got fired, apparently.
Wow.
Or Mike Tomlin
Okay.
out as Steelers head coach. Maybe he stepped away. Or one of those, how those can be with the language and that stuff. Kind of surprising, I guess.
It's kind of surprising, but at the same time, not so much. He has 7 straight playoff losses. That's tied with Marvin Lewis for the most. And a lot of Steelers fans have been kind of fed up with Mike Tomlin because it's been the same bland offensive approach. They make the playoffs, they get blown out. And at some point, it's like you're the Atlanta Hawks of the mid 2010s, or you're the Chicago Bulls currently, where you're a playing team, but you're never a contender. And they never bottom out completely to draft a new quarterback. And they just keep being in the same repeated stuck cycle. And this was their final straw. I would say it was maybe a week too late, because if they lost week 18 against the Ravens because they had a do or die game to make the playoffs last week, whoever lost that game was getting fired. The Ravens lost. John Harbaugh got fired. If the Steelers lost that game, I think that Mike Tomlin would have got fired too. So it's good that the Steelers didn't change their process and approach. Regardless, if their season ended in disappointment, Mike Tomlin was going to be gone. And I don't think it's the wrong approach. I think he's been the coach long enough, and they need a new philosophy in Pittsburgh, because with Mike Tomlin, they just have had no playoff success.
Yeah, I feel like I'm changing my stance a little bit on these things because, like, I get needing a new voice, needing a new culture, like you said, when some of these like long-term coaches, it's been a while since they've won, so it's time for them to step down. But at the same time, it's like, oh man, the Steelers just had winning seasons every year for like 15 years, however long and however many years in a row it's been. It's like, that's pretty hard to replicate. And so I feel like it's pretty easy to find yourself in a cycle where, the Patriots were kind of staring down the barrel of this before they got Vrabel, where it's like, oh my God, we left our like all-time great coach, and now we've just hired shit coaches, and now we're just kind of stuck in this cycle. I think that's pretty dangerous. I think that could be pretty dangerous, but we'll see. I mean, that's interesting. I'm sure any team with a head coaching vacancy is calling his phone right now.
Yeah, the comments are saying that he stepped down, and it sounds like the more likely scenario. It's always tricky with that type of wording and language, because
That's
stepping
like
down could mean
when Rick Carlisle, it was like he stepped down from the Mavs, but
Yeah.
he was fired pretty much.
yeah, you're not reporting that he got fired to kind of show him that respect, but maybe it could have happened. But I think it's the best for both sides. I think the relationship has gotten kind of toxic. Steelers fans have grown to not appreciate the winning seasons anymore if it doesn't result in playoff success. But a team like the Jets, for example, a team like the Giants, if they have a multitude of winning seasons, they will be more than fine with that.
Yeah, I mean, I'd take Mike Tomlin on the Cowboys tomorrow. Like, why not? That would be incredible to me. But right before you came on with that, I mean, it's a big news day, I guess. And then it was also reported that Anthony Davis is going surgery to repair ligament damage in his left hand and will miss several months. Not really that surprising because that was reported a few days ago. Once the second opinion stuff comes up, guys are getting surgeries. I mean, hardly ever has there been like a second opinion where the second opinion was good. But the more interesting thing to me is Shams followed up this tweet with another tweet that said, the Mavs are having renewed Davis trade talks with multiple interested team. If moved to a playoff contender, the return timeline could allow Davis to return during the postseason. So I've done the Anthony Davis stuff on here a million times already. And to add to this weirdness, Anthony Davis himself tweeted under one of these reports saying lies. So I don't know what the fuck. I don't know what's the lie. I don't know if it's the surgery. And then he also Anthony Davis said, y'all better stop listening to all these lies on these apps. What's happening? What is happening right now? What is actually going on?
I'm assuming he's not going to be out as long as they're reporting. It is unfortunate just how off the rails everything for the Mavericks has gone since they traded Luka in regards to the return they got for him. When Kyrie gets hurt, Anthony Davis gets hurt, because I thought there was a potential chance for this team to compete for something meaningful if they all stayed healthy, and that just hasn't been the case. The bright spot is that Cooper Flag has come in and he saved your franchise, and he has been awesome, and he's been a true cornerstone player that you want to build around moving forward. The unfortunate part is like the idea of having these stars healthy, it just hasn't materialized. But Anthony Davis, man, I just can't believe the ways in which he gets hurt, because the torn ligament on the play when he was driving, it really didn't seem like it was going to be that bad to put him out for that long. It's just unfortunate what's been happening to Anthony Davis with these injuries as of recently, and it's really only happened since he's got into Dallas, because he was relatively healthy with the Lakers for a while, and then he got traded, and then he started getting banged up again.
I know it is. I do feel badly for the guy. I mean, it's why I think the Mavs should trade him. Like, if I were AD, I've said this a million times, I'd want out. Like, I want to go somewhere else, because this is just so toxic. And I didn't ask to be here. No one wants me here. It's just anytime I get hurt, the whole entire fan base is like, I hate this fucking guy. And it's like, dude, I didn't want to be here either. Like, chill out. Mark Stein did say there's optimism in Dallas that Anthony Davis could return at some point in March. So, okay. I mean, I guess we'll see. But, I mean, by that point, the Mavericks will be like 30 games below 500. So I don't really get that. What is your you're a Knicks fan. What is your kind of opinion on AD trades? I just want to know as like a neutral observer, because I think it's hard for Mavs fans to really gauge the market. I don't think the Knicks would be interested in AD, but do you think like an AD market could materialize? Do you think in the Eastern Conference, right, if a team like Atlanta or Toronto swung an AD trade, that it could swing the balance of power in the conference?
If he's healthy, I think so. And I don't think there's much of a market for Anthony Davis, just truthfully speaking, because of the injury history and the big contract. You also have to worry about that. But when in regards to Anthony Davis, like, I do think that the Atlanta Hawks make the most sense, because the Hawks might not have to trade much. Risa Shea, CJ McCollum, if he's eligible to get traded. Sometimes those rules with the CBA is a little bit tricky when somebody else gets traded from another team. You can't trade them to another team after that. But the salaries would match, and they could maybe bring on Anthony Davis. But then it's like, Atlanta, do they want to go all in with AD this year? I think there's a market for him, and what that market would be, I think, would be a young player and a first round pick, but I don't expect anything more than that. I don't think that they're going to get a ton of assets back for Anthony Davis.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the consensus. I think there's, I don't interact with any Mavs fans who are like, yeah, man, AD is going to get us 4 or 5 first round picks. Like, I think the argument is, are we going to get anything of value? Like you said, maybe a young player and a first round pick, or are we going to get absolutely nothing at all? Like, are we talking Jakob Poeltl and RJ Barrett and that's it? To where I've constantly argued, like, that's such a horrific return that you just keep it Anthony Davis at that point in time. Like, you're trading the best player in the trade for 2 worse players on 2 terrible contracts. It just makes no sense. But wait, there's another new Anthony Davis tweet. Wait, some stuff's going on. Abby Jones, what did she tweet? It got deleted. She tweeted something that got deleted, and the AD said lies, but y'all keep listening to them. What part is the lie? Can we get to the bottom of this, somebody? What is going on? Just absolutely crazy shit happening right now on Twitter. But yeah, I mean, the AD trade stuff's interesting to me, because I do think, Atlanta, Toronto, I don't know. I do think the East is pretty wide open, and this is a nice segue, I guess, into something else I wanted to talk to you about. NBA contenders are pretenders, just kind of looking at it, from a mile away, just kind of looking at all of these teams as we get close to the trade deadline. What teams are actual contenders and what teams are pretenders? And I guess let's just start with the Knicks, right? Because we just talked about them in the Eastern Conference. Like, when I say contender, I mean legitimate championship contender. Do you think the Knicks are a real contender or a pretender at this point in time?
I think right now they're a pretender. And I think they're a pretender because mostly they've been kind of banged up throughout the season. Josh Hart, his absence has been huge for the team, and I think he brings a lot of energy on a nightly basis. I think they're pretenders because of the defense. I think Brunson and Cat it's hard to build a competent defense around them. They're going to have more than enough offensive firepower, but will they be able to hold up defensively to knock off a team like Denver or OKC if they make the NBA Finals? And that's the view I'm looking at it from right now. I do think that they probably should be favorites in the East. I know that Detroit is the first seed, but I give the Knicks grace. They just beat them in a playoff series, and I think Jalen Brunson is still, he would be the best player in that series, and we have OG Anunoby and Mikal Bridges, but there needs to be more effort. I've liked what I've seen from the Knicks this year in terms of the bench utilization, in terms of the offense. It's better, it's more fluid. They move the ball more, but the effort, it's just so inconsistent. Like there are some nights where I will see the Knicks light it up and they look awesome, they look like the best team in basketball. And then the other week, like I'm seeing them on a couple game stretches where they get blown out by the Hawks, they get blown out by the Pistons, and they just don't look like they're checked in and they're really engaged at all. So I've gotten different versions of the Knicks this year. I would like to believe that they could get to the level of being a contender, but right now they have just been too inconsistent as of recently for me to have the utmost confidence in them.
Interesting, because they were my pick to win the East coming into the season. So I guess that maybe that leads me to another question. Do you think there's any Eastern Conference actual contender like that can compete with some of these Western Conference top dogs?
I really don't. I think the Pistons possess the grittiness to do it.
Would
and
that be your number one pick in the East right now? If you're a little
the
bit
Pistons
iffy on
would
the
be.
Knicks?
Yeah, the Pistons would be. I got to give that respect because, last year our series went to 6 and they didn't have Isaiah Stewart, and it could have very easily went to 7, and that's without Isaiah Stewart. Isaiah Stewart is such a game changer defensively that him guarding Cat for an entire series can swing that series. And we saw the other night when the Pistons played the Knicks and Isaiah Stewart was guarding Cat, Cat had an awful game. So the Pistons, I feel like they have the defensive moxie to make it out the East, but their issue is going to come down to perimeter shooting. Duncan Robinson is like their most reliable outside shooter. Asar Thompson is not somebody you're relying on to shoot the ball. Tobias Harris is inconsistent. I think that if they make a trade for the one person that I think makes the most sense for them is Michael Porter Jr. I think if they can land Michael Porter Jr., they would be, I think, a clear favorite out the East because I'm a bit of a believer in what MPJ is doing in Brooklyn. Not that he's an all NBA caliber player or anything, but I think he's always been an upper echelon role player with Denver averaging 18 and 7. He's always shot the ball well. And then in Brooklyn, he's being used more off screens and in isolations. And he's shown that he can add that aspect to his game. If he goes to Detroit with a playmaker like Cade setting him up, and then he also being able to be a scoring option for that team, I think that gives them like a legitimate boost offensively because I don't view Michael Porter Jr. and Lauri Markkanen as complete opposites in terms of where they rank in the hierarchy amongst NBA players. I think Michael Porter Jr. is just as good as Lauri Markkanen, and they're both players on bad teams that got opportunity and they're lighting it up. But I think MPJ, because of his history, probably is going to cost less assets, and he's on a much cheaper contract on a shorter deal. So I think the Pistons should go out and they should make a move for MPJ, and I think that would propel them over the top.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I'm a little bit iffy on the Pistons, and I've heard the MPJ, the Lowry ones. I've been banging the table on this, and the Clippers have been red hot lately, but they make so much sense as a Kawhi team, and I think that's the type of guy they need because, I mean, for me, the thing with them that I get hesitation about is like the three-point shooting, obviously, but they don't have a real reliable secondary creator at all on their team, and that comes back to bite you in the ass always in the playoffs. I mean, I can't think of a team that doesn't have a reliable second guy where that weakness doesn't get exposed badly in the postseason. And that's why I like a guy like Kawhi. Because even MPJ, great shooter, obviously, what he's doing in Brooklyn. I mean, I watched him play the Mavs last night, and he's just, when he gets on a burner, it's absolutely unbelievable, the shots he makes. But I still, in a playoff setting, do I trust MPJ? Till I'd be like, hey, man, we need a bucket right now. Like, Cade's on the bench. Can you go get us a bucket? Not really. So that's why I'm a little bit concerned with like the Pistons. The Celtics, right now, the Celtics are my number one Eastern Conference team.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, they're dark horse because Like, they're a top 3 seed without Tatum, and if Jason Tatum's going to come back this year, and they're getting him back, then I think there's a legitimate case for them being the number 1 team in the East, especially if they make a trade for a center. I think their young players have been awesome. Like Queta has really broken out this year, and he's been a rebounding machine, and they're going to be a real threat. So I can definitely see that. And they have a lot of young players that have stepped up and they're energetic and they bring a lot of hustle. Like Jaylen Brown is the head of the snake. He's in MVP talks for a reason. Derek White has played his role wonderfully. But the Celtics bench and their role players entirely are a big reason why they're one of the 3 best teams in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah. I mean, I just think, like you said, Jaylen Brown, Kate has been great. And then you get Tatum, potentially, like an 80% Jason Tatum going into the playoffs. I mean, that team is nasty, and I think the East is just so wide open. What about them? Okay, like, bear with me here when I say this, because obviously your initial gut reaction would not tell you contender, but what about the Mavericks, man?
They are a contender.
Hey, they beat the Nuggets twice. They beat the Rockets twice. Don't let them get into the playoffs, is all I'm saying.
They are a contender for a top 5 pick.
Okay.
I would say.
Hey, I'll take that one as well. I'm going to derail this because this AD stuff is actually crazy. Can you guys share my screen on this? Because, all right, this is hilarious to me. Anthony Davis, prior to today, had not tweeted since July 19th of last year. And then before that, he hadn't tweeted since October 27th of 2024. But today he has tweeted 3 times. Y'all better stop listening to all these lies on these apps. Lies, but y'all keep listening to them. What is going on in Dallas, Texas, man? This is insane. This is just a hilarious sort of bow, like, to wrap up this entire Luka Doncic trade saga. Is Anthony Davis goes out with a season-ending injury, or I guess not season-ending, and then maybe gets traded, and then there's drama on the way out. Just kind of a hilarious end of this whole thing. I'm actually interested in your take on this because this is kind of ties to this. Have you been following the Rich Paul stuff?
I have on his podcast when the clips pop up.
What's your stance on this? Because at first I was like, yeah, man, this could be an interesting podcast. Like, he's got such interesting like insight into the NBA, but it feels like it has turned into a just like a platform for him to build value for his players. And I don't know if you saw today, but the Lakers, apparently there's some like locker room people within the organization are not happy with some of the stuff on the podcast because just yesterday he was like, yeah, I would trade Austin Reeves for Jaren Jackson Jr. Like, is this not like bizarre?
It is. I think it's been an awful product. I've watched some of it, like the clips.
It's been terrible. And I thought it'd be great because I love Max Kellerman. He's like legitimately great.
Yeah, what I haven't liked about it has been, I feel like Rich Paul tries to like one up and big bro Max Kellerman in any opinion that he has. Like, Max has an opinion and Rich Paul's like, no, it's this way. Like, they had this argument about the reason why the Michael Jordan's first shoe was red, Max Kellerman stated, was because the Bulls. And Rich Paul was like, no, it's because that's a marketing color. It's red. It's a universal marketing color. And then Max was like, yeah, but the reason why it was initially red is because he played for the Bulls. And he was just like Rich Paul was like fighting against that as much as possible. But no, I think he has a lot of power as an agent, and him using his voice to mock up trades, to build up rumors, and to speculate as much as like maybe you and I would on a platform, I think is very irresponsible. Like mocking Mahomes to the Dallas Cowboys, trading Austin Reeves, Anthony Davis, he like you trade him and build around him over some other players. I think he's mentioned that somewhere in a podcast before. I think that has been very irresponsible, and I can understand how that would rub some players the wrong way because he is stirring up controversy. And one thing that I've learned about media is that whenever you see clips surface, especially on these parody third-party NBA accounts, it isn't for no reason. There is real marketing money and budgets put behind that. They have a budget. They DM these accounts from their podcast accounts and they ask them if they can post these clips and tag their podcast, and they will pay them a monthly rate for an X amount of clips. And all those clips you see on social media and Twitter, they are being funded behind a marketing budget. So this is very much something that they want to get out there. They are purposely curating the clips they want to get out there, and it's just an entire operation. So this is very calculated, and that's why I think it's irresponsible what's happening. And I think the entire product, the podcast has been awful, and I feel for Max Kellerman being involved in it.
Man, that's such a great point. And people really don't realize that these aggregator accounts, there's an entire economy behind them. Because, during the summer, it's like, why the fuck am I getting so many Patrick Beverley? Like, nobody actually cares about Patrick Beverley. And it's just the truth. Nobody actually cares about Patrick Beverley or like Gilbert Arenas, yet they are just getting, pumped. All of these clips pumped out. It's because they are paying for them. Like, there's an entire economy behind these accounts. And I don't think people really realize that. But yeah, it's just so interesting because there was a pathway for that podcast to be good where, Rich Paul kind of gives these insights, and maybe it would be better as like kind of like a post game type thing where a clutch client gets traded or something. And now we have a podcast and Rich Paul's like, yeah, behind the scenes, we were talking this like, that could be interesting insight. But yeah, just like you said, him treating it like it's a ESPN First Take and he's out here debating like, no, Jalen Johnson should get traded to the Bucks for Giannis. It's like, what is going on, bro? Like, isn't Jalen Johnson a clutch guy? Like, that's insane. I'm sorry. I'd be like, dude, can you shut up, please? Like now I'm getting asked if I'm getting traded. I haven't asked for a trade. Like, it's just insane to me. Well, let's just stay on the Lakers for a second. Do you think they're contenders or pretenders?
No, they're pretenders, and I've been harsh on Luka this year. I feel like his play style has really gotten on my nerves a little bit. I do think that there's also a necessary backlash that he gets, and you're never gonna have a fan base support you like you're first. And the way that Mavericks rode for Luka, it will never be replicated anywhere else. What that was genuinely special, and I feel like they realized all of the blame that was supposed to go elsewhere that wasn't on him. Now, with the Lakers, he has 40 last night, and Marcus Smart, Vando, and LaRavia combined 0 for 15 from 3, 0 for 20 from the field. They can't make any shots. I feel for Luka because Luka got traded to a situation that had nothing to build at all. If Anthony Davis remained there and LeBron retired within a year, the Lakers were going to be one of the worst teams in basketball. Like, vying for top picks, they were going to be not competitive at all. But because they got Luka, it restored hope that they could potentially compete. And the fact that they have won as many games as they have won because of how great Luka has played and Austin Reeves has played, I think it has masked just how bad the team is. Like, this is a team that relied on minimum contracts of Ayton, Marcus Smart, and LaRavia to come and save their team. And I think given what they could have done this offseason, those were objectively fine moves, but they really have little to no pathways of improving their roster. And when you look at every superstar in the league, like the Jokic's, the SGAs, the Tatums, the Wembys, the two superstars that are in the worst situations in terms of team building are Giannis and Luka. And I like, people talk about the Bucks all the time and how they have nothing to build around Giannis. What makes the Lakers the exception outside of that they're the Lakers? Because they have no assets to build around a star.
I mean, that's just... Joel, you should start a podcast, Joel. That was fantastic.
Hey, thanks, man.
that was so well said, and I agree with everything that you said, especially the part where it's like, I used to have these battles with people all the time who thought that I'd be, a little too harsh on Luka sometimes with my criticism, and then they would say stuff like, "Oh, no other fan base would treat Luka this way." I'm like, you guys are out of your fucking minds if you actually believe that to be true. Like, if Luka were to go to LA, and he did end up going to LA, the media market there is so unforgiving that it would be just anytime they lose, man. And I did a ramble about this earlier today. Anytime they lose, it is Armageddon on the timeline in a way that you have to see to believe. It's like, seriously, you should pop some popcorn and sit down open up Twitter anytime the Lakers lose a game and just start scrolling because it's hilarious. And then it's just LeBron, and no, it's LeBron's fault because this, it's Luka's fault because this. It's like, dude, this roster reeks, man. This team is terrible. I was trying to say it all summer. People would get mad at me. It's like, dude, this team doesn't do any of the things you have to do in today's NBA to be good. They're not athletic. They don't defend. They're not big, really. Their role guys are uber inconsistent. They don't really have a single real two-way role guy. And the two-way stuff has changed over time to where being 3-and-D is not necessarily being a two-way player anymore. You need to be able to dribble. You need to be able to pass the ball. They don't have any of these guys. Jared Vanderbilt's shooting wide open threes off the side of the backboard from the corner, which is like, how are you in the NBA and you're shooting wide open threes off the backboard? I don't understand that at all. You're in the league, man. Like you spend 8 hours a day practicing the game. I have no clue how you can shoot a wide open corner three off the side of the backboard. To this day, that makes no sense to me. He's horrible. But anyways, yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly where it's just like, the Luka discourse this year, and I agree with you where I think this year's been a very weird year for him where the counting stats are fantastic, but when you watch him, it's just clearly he's not as good or impactful as he was like a couple years ago, even on the Mavs. But he's still been great, and the flaws of that Lakers team they're so glaring that now over this past month or two, it's impossible for these guys to hide it anymore. So. Yeah, I mean, I knew you were going to say pretender because no one believes in this Lakers team, but I just wanted an opportunity to shit on them because it's fun to me because I really dislike this franchise, and it sucks because I want to root for Luka, but the fact that the Lakers are the team that lucked into him, and like you said, they were going nowhere. It's not like Rob Pelinka had this team positioned and they were like, okay, we've been accumulating assets to go after a guy like Luka. Like he just fell ass backwards into their lap, and it's just like, okay. Whatever, man. Of course the Lakers are the team. How about Houston?
They're pretenders. I think that they have a pathway to contend though, but number one, we gotta like be real. Like Kevin Durant being your best player leading you to a championship, that hasn't happened. And at no point in his prime, in his career, it hasn't happened. Has there been some unlucky moments? Yes, there has been, but the truth is the truth. They don't have, I think, the requisite consistency from their role players, specifically Jabari Smith Jr., to make a run. Most of their losses this year have been embarrassing because of Jabari Smith Jr. He's just been playing awful, and he really hasn't provided the value that they needed him to provide, especially after signing an extension this past offseason. But I just think the other West teams are better than them. It's hard to trust how a man will look in the playoffs if they're leaving him open from three the entire series. Alperen Şengün, I think, will be fine, but he's a little bit inefficient. And then Kevin Durant, we've seen in playoff settings that he will be lackadaisical with the ball. You know, the turnover numbers for the Rockets have spiked because he's been on the team, because he's very loose with his handle. He makes poor passes, and that's just the reality of the situation. And I think that it's very telling that the Phoenix Suns have, I think, a better record than them right now. And in this current moment, the Phoenix Suns, who we all thought would be a bottom dweller, and they trade Kevin Durant, who's a top 10 player in the world, and they get back Dillon Brooks and Jalen Green. And Jalen Green hasn't played all year. And Dillon Brooks has averaged 20, has played defense, has brought a sense of identity and hustle to the Suns, and now they are a better regular season team than the Rockets. I think that that's telling, and I think that there is something to be said about, I think, the nonchalantness that Kevin Durant plays with that maybe translates from team to team. But I also can't put the problems on this Rockets team on KD, because Ime Udoka said it the other night, like they're relying on a 37-year-old to carry them when, you know, this is supposed to be a young team that added a vet, but he's not supposed to shoulder the load consistently like he has been with the Rockets. I just don't think that this season has really gone to plan as of recently, because they started out really hot, but as of recently, they tailed off.
Yeah, and I mean, Şengün missed like a week or two, to be fair, but the Rockets are really interesting to me. They're kind of similar to the Pistons, where it's like all the numbers, all the advanced stuff says this is a contending team, right? Like right now, the Rockets are fourth in offense, fourth in defense. But when you watch them, there's just something that's missing. And really what it is it's a reliable or at least a secondary guy that in a clutch setting, like the Thunder have J-Dub, and J-Dub's been shaky so far this year, but they have that guy. The Nuggets have Jamal Murray, obviously. Like even the Lakers, like why did the Lakers have such an unbelievable clutch record? Well, they've got Luka and LeBron in the clutch, and Reeves whenever he's healthy. Like those guys can go out and get buckets. That's Houston's big problem, and I agree with you. I just there's something that's just missing, and I would love for them to be good, but you just know you're going to get a game where Amen Thompson's 6 of 18 from the field, and he's airballed 2 free throw line jumpers, right? Like that's going to happen. Yeah, the 3-point shooting is rough for them. I think you're probably going to get a couple Şengün games because they're still a super young team. So inevitably, you're going to get a Şengün game in the playoffs where he has like 7 turnovers. These things happen, but they can make something happen at the trade deadline, though. Like if they were to go out and get a guard, I don't know who that would be. I think if I'd say it's a non-0% chance, the Mavs would never trade Kyrie Irving. But if AD gets traded, would it just shock anybody if Kyrie's like, hey guys, like I love being here, but I want to be on a contending team. Like he would turn this Rockets team. I'd feel so much differently about them. Like that would be such a perfect fit.
Yeah, the Rockets should be very aggressive, especially in this NBA. Like the combo guard that scores has gotten undervalued to the point that they might not have to give up too much to get a guy like that. Like Malik Monk would be perfect for the Rockets if they can get him. Just somebody that can create their own shot and consistently be out there in clutch moments. That would be huge for their team. So I agree with you. They just need another ball handler that can make offense easier. So everything doesn't have to run through Kevin Durant. And then you kind of, you let Kevin Durant be what he was kind of brought there to do, which is kind of just, score when he's needed to score, but not have to have all the playmaking responsibilities that he's maybe had to shoulder in other places when they've had so many injuries.
You mentioned the Suns. Are they getting to a point where you have to kind of consider them, or are they still just like a fun, whoa, this is crazy type of story?
They're still just a fun team, and it's good to see them play well because Kevin Durant was jawing back and forth with Suns fans. That's when it's going to happen when somebody gets traded. And he basically commented on them and said that, hey, enjoy a season with no expectations and, nothing going for you guys pretty much. And they're playing really well. I think that, the Suns are still a fun, frisky team, but they're building an identity and a culture behind Jordan Ott. And I think you look at the Cavaliers and them losing Jordan Ott on the coaching staff and how terrible they look. And then he's on the Suns, and the Suns have been like a top 10 defense this year. They're a top half offense this year, and they're just playing good basketball. Like Colin Gillespie's broken out. You also have contributions from Jordan Goodwin as a role player, Jamari Boye, like Ryan Dunn playing defense, Royce O'Neal hitting his shots, and Grayson Allen. Like they have built a good identity with their centers too, Mark Williams and Oso Ighodaro. Really, Kaman Maluach hasn't even contributed to this team as a top 10 pick. And it hasn't mattered because they've just been really good as a entire collective. So I think that we'll see what happens when they get Jalen Green back, because when he did play, his first game was completely amazing. And then he just got injured in the second game. So we'll see what happens. But I think they're still a fun team. And I'm glad that this is their reality, because there was a worry there that they were probably going to waste a couple years of Devin Booker's career. And even if they're not competing for championships, you can't call a season like this a waste.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, Jordan Ott's currently third in Coach of the Year voting, or odds, I guess I should say. I feel like he's been the most impressive with what he has to work with. This isn't like a fantastic roster or anything like that. They're good. But he's been able to maximize every single role guy here, and they're all super bought into their identity. It has been really fun to watch. It's funny because there was that Dylan Brooks meme, the infamous the Dynasty Stars After You guy, and Memphis has just gotten shittier since he's left. I wouldn't say Houston's gotten shittier, but they definitely lack that identity. And I've seen Rockets fans up and down my timeline who badly miss Dylan Brooks. So I think that's kind of funny to look back on in hindsight, that maybe Dylan Brooks is the dynasty guy, huh? Maybe the Suns go on a run here. Who else? Minnesota. That's a great one. Minnesota is one of the most interesting teams in the league right now.
I'm going contender. I think they are.
I was thinking the same.
Yeah, I think they are consistently the most underrated team in basketball. They've made the last 2 Western Conference Finals. They keep knocking on the door, and for some reason, they just keep having people that doubt them throughout the entire way. Rudy Gobert has not looked better in his career than he looks now.
Whoa.
Offensively, he's catching everything. He is finishing at the basket, and he's always been hyper efficient. But I think the difference now is that he's really being aggressive with at the catch point, and he's really catching these passes. That's like the biggest thing. Defensively, he should be the leader in defensive player of the year odds. He's been the best and most consistent defensive player in basketball. When you have a player like Anthony Edwards who has consistently got better, who's shooting career highs at the rim, mid-range, and at the three, who's averaging 30, one of the best shooting guards in the league. I think the best shooting guard in the league. And then McDaniels, Randall, Dante DiVincenzo. That five-man lineup, I believe, is the best five-man lineup in terms of net rating in the NBA, or at least one of the five best. Like, it is up there. What they need is just a small injection of some guard talent. They don't have to trade for a Ja Morant. They don't have to trade for a star point guard. They just have to trade for like a Keon Ellis. They have to trade for maybe a Kobe White who's making $12 million on expiring, and they can bring them some offensive juice. But just trading for somebody like that, I think would really put them over the hump. But this is a team that's knocking on the door. They've been to the Western Conference Finals the last 2 years, and I think this year we see that, they might have started a little bit slow, but they have gotten hot as of recently, and they've really started to win some basketball games to where they're not far from being one of the top teams in the West right now in the standings after a pretty inconsistent start.
Can I zag on you real quick here?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I a few months ago, I would have agreed with you 100% on the backcourt thing. Dude, Bones Highland's been, like, legitimately really good for them to the point where it's like, I wonder if they're just like, yeah, Bones is our guy. Like, well, we're not going to trade for Kobe White. Like, we're going to rely on Bones Highland to be that sort of backup guard off our bench. I just don't know how much they could trust that, in a playoff setting. Like, Bones Highland's out there getting 25 minutes in a game 6. Like, I don't know how much they believe in that. I wonder if they're sneaky. They go after maybe some of these guards, or I'm sorry, not guards, bigs in the trade market, because this has always kind of been the case for them where Rudy Gobert has just been one of the more insane on-off guys in the league, and it's because their defense just completely unravels when he checks out. Their defense is 16 points better when he's on the floor versus when he's off. I mean, that is just ungodly. That's unreal, right? That's like literally, and I agree with you. I think he should be the front runner for Defensive Player of the Year right now, assuming that Wemby doesn't get to 65 games, which I think everyone kind of assumes. But could they go out and get one of these bigs that might be available? Even like a Gafford, because I've been so, Naz Reid to me is just, there's something about Naz Reid that I'm just out on entirely,
Yeah, he's kind of been underwhelming this year, and the problem with their bigs is that they're finesse bigs. Like Naz Reid's going to shoot the ball and rebound occasionally, but he's really not going to attack the glass or play defense all that consistently. And Julius Randle's effort issues are inconsistent across the board, even dating back to his days with my Knicks. So they need somebody, like I agree with you, they need somebody to kind of replace those Rudy Gobert minutes and keep them sustainable, keep them just treading water so they don't get blasted when Gobert's on the bench. And I think that would make them a much better basketball team. So there are a lot of different ways that they can go with it. Maybe they can keep trusting their internal development and with Dillingham and Bones Holland and just trusting their guards there. But yeah, I think Minnesota, they're going to be right in the mix. And I think a big reason for that is because of Rudy Gobert's impact. And I think the biggest reason is because of Anthony Edwards. I just think that he's one of the best players in basketball.
Yeah, I mean, I agree that they're contenders too, or they at least deserve to be in that. Maybe if you're one of those people who are just, hey, the Thunder are kind of by themselves, or maybe the Thunder and Nuggets are by themselves. The Timberwolves are at least in that next tier. And I've kind of become a believer to this where it's like, some people have argued it. Maybe Anthony Edwards just deserves to be a most improved player every year, because it is like every single season. I mean, he's at 41% from three, man. Like the fact that he's turned into not just a good three-point shooter, but genuinely one of the absolute best, maybe even the second best behind Steph Curry, three-point shooter in the NBA. When you factor in the difficulty in his shots and how many of his threes he self-creates, it is insane. I mean, it really, his development is just unbelievable. And I mean, they've been to 2 straight conference finals. So yeah, they deserve to be in the mix as much as anybody else has. Like if you think Houston's a contender, then you got to at least respect this Timberwolves team.
I agree.
The Timberwolves are better without him off the court, Chiley. And I don't know, my chat right now, they call me Chiley, which, are you familiar with that
No, I'm
terminology?
not.
When you add CH to the start of someone's name and it's chunky, like people call Luca
Oh, I
Chuka.
see. I see. Okay.
I mean, this is just my chat just disrespects me every single step of the way. It's unbelievable. I don't know how y'all's community is with you guys, but it's just torture for me just logging in every day. But anyways, yeah, I know that the Timberwolves have a better on-off rating when Anthony Edwards is off the floor, whatever. My eyeballs tell me that that's one of the best players in the league, so that'll probably even out. The Spurs.
I'm gonna go yes. The Wemby effect is real. I think he's probably the most impactful player in basketball. He's up there with anybody. But the role players are like really good, man. Like De'Aaron Fox, all star. Stephon Cass has been really good. Harrison Barnes has been consistent. Julian Champagnie has been one of the better 3-and-D players in the league this year, and he really torched my Knicks and was hitting every shot imaginable against us. Keldon Johnson,
That was the
I
11
think
threes
is
game, right?
Yeah, yeah. Keldon John, I think it was on Christmas Day too. It was like a day before Christmas. It was one of those. Keldon Johnson, I think he's one of the more underrated like tone setters in the league. He kind of has that Dylan Brooks to him where he brings a lot of hustle and energy and tenacity to the court. And maybe that has gone under the radar because of how bad the Spurs have been as of recently, but it's really showing this year. He can rebound as like a 6'5" guard / forward hybrid. He can shoot the ball. He can drive to the basket. He plays with a lot of passion. And then you have Dylan Harper, Luke Cornett as a backup big. Like they have a lot of depth, and I'm a big believer in the Spurs. And this year, I was kind of hesitant of maybe like, are they gonna like they're gonna go from a play-in team or at least an out of the playoff team to a playoff team, but can they make that other jump to contender status? And the more I watch them, the more I am sold that they can.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you that I think they are contenders. And the main reason is, when you have Victor Wembanyama, who could be the best player on the floor in any playoff series, that is always going to give you the chance to win. The thing, you mentioned how they've been struggling lately. The thing that the detractors could point at and say, well, yeah, look at their guards over the last, couple of weeks. Castle's been struggling. Harper's been dreadful. And that could be okay, in the playoffs, you're so green. These guys are so young. A couple bad games from those guys and your season's over. So that would be the thing that I could definitely see as the reason why they could lose in round one, maybe. I mean, I don't know. We see these young teams all the time that we believe in go up against veteran, savvy, older teams that maybe aren't as good or as athletic, but they just know how to win in the playoffs. I could definitely see that. But, man, when I watch Wemby, dude, I mean, it's next level. And, obviously in the playoffs, Wemby's not going to be on a 25-minute restriction. So you're going to get that full impact from him. And he's been 6 man of the year farming lately. Like he's been coming off the bench. I think it'd be hilarious if they just went that route with him all year and he ended up winning 6 man of the year. But speaking of 6 man of the year, you mentioned Keldon Johnson. Like that right now, I think he'd be my 6 man of the year pick. 6 man of the year is just so weird. But yeah, he's such a tone setter for them. It's crazy. But I can't wait for that. I'm so happy they're 27-12. I'm so happy. Knock on wood, obviously. I'm so happy we're going to get them in the playoffs and see Wemby in the postseason because he's just got some motherfucker in him. Like, he's got that dog. He's got that mean streak that you need. I cannot wait to see it. Obviously, Denver, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what really needs to be said about them? Crazy that they're still winning games. Like, they're just now clawing together these wins. That could really help them out in the long run. Peyton Watson gets these minutes. You find something and like Jalen Pickett, and he can now become like a rotation guy. We see that happen. Are you concerned?
I love this stretch for the Nuggets because Jamal Murray's kind of proving that.
Yeah.
If I did have my own team, I could do my thing too.
Yep.
I'm just not Jokic reliant. I'm a star in my own right. And then Peyton Watson breaking out. I mean, he averaged 3 points in college, and then he's broken out to this.
Yeah, he's a crazy development story. That is insane that he averaged 3 points in college.
Yeah.
He just won Player of the Week in the Western Conference. I mean, just absolutely insane. And he's a restricted free agent, so that's going to be interesting to see that play out? Because we've seen this Nuggets team. They do this. Jokic does this with these guys where he raises their value, and then they gotta decide whether or not they want to, match the prices for these guys. Like if Peyton Watson ends up making $25 million or gets an offer sheet for $25-30 million a year, like that's a difficult one for them. Are you worried about the Thunder at all, or?
Yeah, I'm kind of worried about them. Not like in the sense that they're not going to be contenders or anything, but I'm worried about Jalen Williams the most. I know he's coming off an injury, but he has kind of been so bad for them this year. And because they won a championship, it has also been ignored that he was pretty inconsistent for most of last year's playoffs too. He turned it up in the Minnesota series and in the finals in moments. He really turned it up, but he really had some bad moments against Denver, and I still don't trust him to be that secondary creator consistently next to Shea. So that kind of is my concern with OKC, and I just think the role players have not shot well at all. Like they had a lot of things break their way on the pathway to the finals, not from like an injury standpoint or anything, just they were one of the worst three-point shooting teams in the NBA playoffs, and they still won the championship. But it's not like it was easy. They went 7 with Denver. They went 7 with Indiana. These were hard-fought series, and now it feels like they're even worse at shooting. Lou Dort's worse at shooting. Caruso's worse at shooting. So if they are not going to hit their shots, it's going to be really tough for them to go back-to-back.
Yeah, I agree. I before the year started, I thought this would be kind of similar to some of those Warriors years where we would just get to the playoffs and it's like, oh, this team's a buzzsaw. Like, there's no point in even really playing this out. I still think I'd pick them to win. But yeah, I mean, I'm definitely the shooting is the number one thing. Like, I think I could maybe look past this J-Dub stretch. But yeah, I mean, the role guys shooting this terribly is something that will lose you a playoff series. And it almost did a couple of times last year. And then, Luck Dort in game 5 of the Nuggets series, I was there, literally saved their season with his three-point shooting at the end. Like, literally saved the year for them. So I guess that's maybe why I give them the benefit of the doubt is I've seen these role guys, even though their percentages aren't very good, save their ass at times shooting-wise. Before we go, NFL playoffs, we talked about it a little bit at the top. Who's your team? Who do we think's winning the Super Bowl? It's so wide open. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, so NFC.
Did you think
this
the Packers
weekend,
were going to win the playoff, the Super Bowl coming into it?
After Micah went out, no. When Micah got hurt, I didn't think it was going to happen anymore just because their defense had fallen off a cliff.
Well, you got Trayvon
the
Diggs.
offense was, yeah. He didn't even play.
That's why he got one play.
Yeah, man. He should have played more, man. He shot next to was getting burnt out there.
Yeah.
But I have the Seahawks over the 49ers. I have the Rams over the Bears. In the AFC, I have the Bills over the Broncos, and I have the Patriots over the Texans. So the AFC championships and the NFC championships, I have the Bills, Patriots. I have the Seahawks, Rams. I'm going to take the Bills. I'm going to take the Seahawks. Bills, Seahawks is my Super Bowl. And I'm going to go with the Seattle Seahawks. They were my team to win it coming into the NFL playoffs. Just when I started my bracket, they're the one that I had the most confidence in. The one thing that can derail them from winning is Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold is, you can flip a coin, and that's the playoff game he's going to have is going to be good or bad. That's the chances that he gives you. He is so talented. He's so great. He can make every throw in the book, but he is so erratic. And there are just some bone-crushing decisions that he'll make that the Seahawks better hope he doesn't make in a postseason setting, or else their season's going to be over. But if he can play good football, then I think that the Seahawks are not going to lose. I think that they're going to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't follow the NFL really much anymore, so I don't have like the like hard hitting analysis. My analysis whenever I was making my bracket was I closed my eyes and tried to imagine things, and I just could not close my eyes and imagine Sam Darnold winning a Super Bowl. Like that was one of the things. It was like I just cannot.
That's fair.
How did that make you feel as a Jets fan, by the way?
It made me feel kind of like vindicated and justified for leaving the Jets, honestly. But like last year when Darnold broke out, I predicted in the offseason that not only was he going to break out, but he was going to do it with the team he did it with in the Vikings, because I predicted the Vikings would sign him and he would revive his career there. So I was happy for Sam Darnold, and it kind of just like reaffirmed everything that I already thought. And it's like, that the organization has failed these players more than these players have failed this organization. And I don't know when it's going to change or turn around. You know, I even though like there's some animosity still for me with them now. I do hope that one day they do become good. I think it'd be better for the league. They have a really passionate fan base, but you know, they have to make the right decisions. And their ownership just consistently has not. And they have like they're coming off an all-time bad season this year too. So I don't even know, but it just kind of reaffirmed that the players always had the talent. It's just they were put in a bad position to succeed, which is unfortunate because I was all in on Sam Darnold with the Jets.
How the hell do you go a whole year without getting an interception? That doesn't even make sense.
Unfathomable.
Really?
Yeah.
How does a ball not just bounce off a lineman and into like a linebacker's hands? That makes no sense. I've seen people say this before because of Sam Darnold's thing, where people are like, maybe we just throw away any Jets season. And there's people who are like, some team's going to revive Zach Wilson. You think that's possible, or is Zach Wilson beyond gone?
I think it's possible. You can't rule anything out, man. Like, if somebody told you Geno Smith was going to revive his career after he was a backup for Eli Manning and Phillip Rivers and Russell Wilson, like, nobody would have believed it. Like, he was done. Like, nobody thought anything of him, and he revived his career. So I don't think you can completely rule out Zach Wilson, but I do think his pathway is a lot tougher because it doesn't seem like there's any team out there that is kind of. He is in the league. Right now, he's the backer for the Dolphins.
Okay.
There's no team out there that is willing to give him that opportunity. Like, the Dolphins bench Tua, and instead of starting Zach, they started Quinn Ewers, their 7th-round rookie quarterback. So Zach Wilson, I think after that happened, there was a report that came out, maybe from his agent, that like he was frustrated and like that he wasn't the starter, which I would have been too. Like, he's on a 1-year deal. Those 2-3 games matter for him and maybe getting an opportunity elsewhere, and he just was not given that. So a lot of it is just receiving an opportunity, and he just has yet to do that.
Yeah, I mean that would be so funny if Zach Wilson revived his career. Somebody asked me to ask about Dante Moore to the Jets.
Yeah, Dante Moore is the projected 2nd overall pick, and this past weekend in the college football playoff semifinals, he had 3 turnovers against Indiana. He didn't play that well, and the worry with him is that he's only started 1 real full year of college, and that is concerning because when you watch him play, he doesn't have a natural feel for the position yet. He's very raw. And if the Jets select him with the 2nd overall pick, my opinion is that it would probably not end up good. They will probably end up selecting him because they really need a quarterback, but not because he is the right quarterback with that pick. So, you know, it's very hard to develop a quarterback. And when you pigeonhole yourself into selecting the wrong one, that can cost you 2 to 3 years of your franchise. So I hope that he pans out. He has a lot of the tools, but if you look at the history of all the college football quarterbacks that have started the amount of games that he has with his minimal passing attempts that he has, all of them have been busts in the NFL. So it's not very encouraging.
Oh man, but that seems like that's going to be the direction.
It does seem like it will be the direction, yes.
Well, hey, let's hope for the best, man. He did game my Texas Tech Red Raiders, so best of luck to him.
There's that.
Best of luck to him. Before, I don't know if I can show you my screen. I wanted to just show you my NFL prowess before I let you go with my preseason NFL picks, which my community laughed at me, and we looked at these last night, and my God, it's unbelievable how you have to see them to believe them. Can we get my screen on here, or is that not a thing we can do right now? Because okay, they say it's not. All right, well, that's unfortunate. I'll just read some of these out then. This is great content.
Okay.
I had the Bills winning the AFC East, but they did make the playoffs, so I'll pat myself on the back for that. I had the Jets going 5-12. I mean, I gave them a little too much credit.
Yeah, it's not bad either.
I had the Patriots missing the playoffs, but I had them 9-8. So that's not,
Yeah. The Patriots were a surprise team this year. Not a lot of people thought they'd make the playoffs, but I did think they would make the playoffs.
I had the Ravens and the Bengals making the playoffs in the NFC North, or AFC North, 0-2 there.
Yeah, it didn't happen, but it weren't like, I'm thinking of these as like off-season predictions, not bad off-season predictions.
Thank you. Well, don't worry, it's about to get bad. I had the Titans winning the AFC South, and honestly, I don't really know why.
Yeah. That's bad.
Yeah, I had the Colts going 3-14 as well. So obviously they bottomed out at the end there, but I don't really know my reasoning for those. I had the Chiefs winning the AFC West, whatever, man. Who didn't? Did you who thought they wouldn't?
Yeah, I thought they would. They just imploded this year, but they'll be back.
I had both the Chargers and the Broncos making the playoffs. So okay, AFC not that bad. I had the Packers and the Lions making the playoffs in the AFC North. Not terrible. The Bears 9-8. Not bad. I had the Bucks going winning the NFC South, whatever. They were a travesty. I had the Arizona Cardinals going 11-6. This was the one everyone made fun of me about.
Yeah, there was a lot of pro Cardinals offseason stuff. So I can understand that perspective. But yeah, rough season for them.
Well, that's not even my worst NFC West prediction. I had the Rams going 6-11.
Maybe the Matthew Stafford injury stuff got to you.
That's 100% what it was. Okay, because I was looking back at these. I was like, what the fuck was I thinking with the Rams? Yeah, we must have did this because people were like, he might not play this year because of his back. That was like a thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
that
it
just
was.
made me feel a lot better about myself, actually. Well, no, because actually this was the worst one. I had the Giants going 11-6 and making the playoffs.
Yeah, that's bad.
What was I thinking there, man? I got the Cowboys right on. I thought they'd win 8 games. Like that's just I could predict the Cowboys accurately. And then my Super Bowl was Ravens Buccaneers. So yikes.
Yeah, not that good, but hey, most of the stuff you got right. You probably went 50% on your playoff teams. It's not too bad.
Oh, look, we got it up on the screen now. Yeah, I mean the Giants going 11-6 is just hilarious, fan. What was I thinking? I'd have to know. I'd love to go back and listen to what I said. But yeah, so this is just an example right here that vibes-based analysis, sometimes it's not the best. Sometimes closing your eyes and thinking about what team's going to be good isn't the best. Well, thanks for coming on, man. I had a blast talking with you today. Let us know where we can find you at.
Thank you for having me on. You can find me at Joel V. Moran on all platforms, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and even on YouTube. And pick a side. You can catch me Tuesdays and Thursdays. We drop episodes twice a week. And then, that's where you can find me. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, man, you guys really do have a great show. So if you haven't listened to the Pick a Side podcast, you guys been friends for a long time. I mean, that's just the vibe it gives off, right? I'm assuming.
Yeah, now it feels like we've been friends for a long time because we've been doing the show maybe for 5 years now.
It really is just it feels like you're at your hometown bar just chopping it up with your boys.
Thanks. We appreciate it.
Yeah, it's great. It's a great vibe. Well, thank you for coming on. Thank you guys for listening. You guys can every Tuesdays and Thursdays here right now, soon to be every day. Make sure you subscribe to the Haymaker channel, link down in the description. Subscribe to this channel. Leave a like. You can listen on audio platforms as well, Spotify, iTunes. Is there any other ones? Google. I mean, I'm sure they've got one. The Slightly Biased Show. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll talk to you guys later. Enjoy the rest of your day. Love you all. Bye-bye.
Who's it gonna be? This is Lamar! Oh my God! My brain's gonna explode. My brain's gonna explode. There's something sinister afoot, absolutely.